Friends, if you want to watch super hit movie First Kill in English, then you must like this video. If you're visiting our channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Friends, in today's video, the movie we're going to talk about is called First Kill. We will talk about what this movie is and where you can watch all the interesting about this movie into today's video. I'm going to tell you, I am also going to give you all the information on which I request you friends to watch this video till the end, so let's start the video. Erst Killisa. 2017 American action thriller film directed by Stephen C. Miller and written by Nick Gordon. The film stars Hayden Christensen and Bruce Willis. Plot: Wall Street broker Will Beeman, Hayden Christensen, has been struggling with being present for his wife, Laura, Megan Leonard, and his son, Danny, Ty Shelton. Shortly after hearing of Danny being bullied at school, Will decides to take his family to his hometown, Granville, Ohio, to bond with Danny. Upon entering Granville, Will is reacquainted with Police Chief Marvin Howell, Bruce Willis, a family friend who knew Will's father and at one point dated his aunt, Dottie, Deb G. Girdler. Howell advises Will on taking precautions after Howell informs him of a recent bank robbery in which a couple of $1 million was stolen. While teaching Danny how to hunt with a rifle, Will and Danny witness a heated exchange between two men, one of them holding the other at gunpoint and inquiring after money, a drop-off not going according to plan. The unarmed man, Gethin Anthony, is shot in the shoulder after he throws a key near Will's position at a shooting station. Danny's shocked gasp at the shooting attracts the gunman's attention. The gunman opens fire on Will's location and prompts Will, fearing for his son's safety, to shoot him with his hunting rifle in self-defense. Upon inspecting the dead gunman, he is surprised to discover a concealed badge, which shows that the gunman was a police officer who failed to identify himself. Distraught, Will brings the wounded man to the family cabin for Laura, a surgeon, to provide first aid, and hopefully to save the only other witness to the proceedings. Shortly after he is treated and bandaged up, the man regains consciousness, takes Danny hostage at knife point, and demands Will to help him retrieve the discarded key in exchange for Danny's freedom. While attempting to retrieve the key back at the shooting shack, they are surprised by a uniformed officer, Richie Steckel, William DeMeo, who opens fire on Will and the gunman. The gunman tells Will to meet him at a bulletin board after he retrieves the key, and he then absconds with Will's car and son as hostage. After an attempt at pursuing his son, Will learns from Howell that the gunman's name is Levi Barrett, and that the deceased officer was Richie's brother, Charlie Shea Buckner. Will waits until nightfall to retrieve the key, only to be confronted by Richie. Will successfully subdues Richie, leaves him handcuffed to a tree, and goes to the bulletin board for further instructions. Meanwhile, Danny bonds with Levi and learns the reasons behind the bank robbery. Howell and the Steckel brothers engineered the heist and intended to use Levi as the fall guy. Levi agreed to the heist to support financially Mabel Fanchian, Christine Dye, the cancer-ridden mother of his girlfriend Adele, Maggie Avila. Levi was supposed to drop off the stolen money at a drop site, but suspecting that the cops would likely betray him, he did not arrive for fear of the site being compromised with a potential assassin. Howell also deduces Levi's predicament after a uniformed officer investigates Barrett's apartment. Howell and Will converge on Mabel's hospital bed, and Howell questions Will's motivation for being there. While Howell is distracted with a radio call by an officer, Will receives a map from Mabel that reveals the location of the post office on which the stolen money was stashed, and the location of an underground bunker at which to make the exchange for his son. The key is used to unlock the mailbox containing the stolen cash. Will briefly eludes Howell, but is caught again after he retrieves the money. Seemingly sympathetic to Will's situation, Howell provides Will transport to the bunker to apprehend Levi. Will gives the money to Levi and is reunited with Danny. Simultaneous to this reunion, Richie kidnaps Laura from the family cabin and drives her to Howell's location for leverage of their own. While attempting to flee, Adele is murdered by Howell. Left with nothing to lose, Levi attacks Howell and Richie, only to be wounded. Will takes Danny to a hunter's watchtower, where Danny soon pushes a pursuing Richie off a high ladder to knock him out, because of following good anti-bullying advice that Levi imparted to him previously while they bonded over computer games. Howell holds Laura at gunpoint and threatens to shoot her if Will does not hand over the money. Desperate to help his parents, Danny retrieves a pistol from the unconscious Richie and attempts to shoot Howell, only for Will to stop him. In an attempt to taunt Will, Howell reveals himself as the one who murdered Will's father years earlier. Levi distracts Howell, while Laura ducks and provides Will the opportunity to shoot Howell in the head. During the aftermath, Levi dies of his injuries, much to Danny's sadness. Richie is questioned by the rest of the police department, and Mabel is found dead on the hospital bed after she was murdered by Howell by removing her life support system. As the remaining non-corrupt officers boast on news media over the recovered loot, the Beeman family relinquishes its hunting rifle and decides to return home to deal with its daily lives. Cast Hayden Christensen as William Will Beeman, Bruce Willis as Police Chief Marvin Howell, Ty Shelton as Danny Beeman, Gethin Anthony as Levi Barrett, Megan Leonard as Laura Beeman, Tyler John Olson, 3 as Officer Tom Davies, Jesse Pruitt as Officer Louis Shea, Buckner as Charlie Steckel, William DeMeo as Richie Steckel, Magi Avila as Adele Fantion, Chris R. Moss as Officer Cox, Chelsea Mee as Tammy Deb G., Girdler as Aunt Dottie, Christine Dye as Mabel Fanchon. Production principal photography on the film began in August 2016 in Granville, Ohio. Box office. As of November 11, 2022, First Kill grossed $347,295 in the United Arab Emirates, Turkey, Portugal, South Africa, Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay, on a budget of $10 million reception. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 15% based on 20 reviews, with an average rating of 3.8/10/5. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 39 out of 100, based on 7 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Just how many people has First Kill star Bruce Willis killed over the course of his career? According to a site called MovieBodyCounts.com, whose statistics look to be about as accurate as a sawed-off shotgun blast, Willis has offed 116 adversaries to date. A more accurate tally is best left to someone with an appetite for action and plenty of free time on their hands, which just so happens to be the kind of person most likely to appreciate another generic collaboration between Willis and director Stephen C. Miller, their third following Extraction and Marauders. With little to distinguish this Vivad-bound Lionsgate premiere release from so many straight-to-video thrillers, First Kill offers the ever-so-slight novelty of casting Willis as the bad guy. He plays a corrupt rural police chief named Howell, who's courteous to the locals in small-town Greville, Ohio, but not above murdering them if they get between him and the loot from a recent bank robbery. Howell's crime might have gone undetected were it not for the arrival of Will, Hayden Christensen, a big-city investment banker who happens to be hunting with his 11-year-old son Danny, Ty Shelton, when he stumbles upon their scheme. Danny's been having trouble with a bully at school, and First Kill is the roundabout story of how the kid finds the confidence to defend himself in that uniquely American, NRA-approved way, by learning how to handle a firearm. Dad goes out of his way to explain that Danny should never point the gun at another person, but he doesn't set much of an example. From the moment father and son stumble across what appears to be an execution in the woods, it's shoot or be shot. And while First Kill ain't Willis's first kill by any stretch, it could well provide the kids. A blue state version of the same movie might have followed Danny back to school, where he takes the family rifle and opens fire on his aggressors. But as far as First Kill is concerned, the best way to prevent gun violence is with more guns. It's easy to understand why Miller would have wanted Willis for the role, although he barely exploits the star's wry, seen-it-all quality. But Christensen comes as more of a surprise, since he reads as a white-collar dandy. Someone who hardly seems tough enough to have grown up around guns, and not at all the type who'd pull the trigger if his son was put in danger. If anything, the script by Nick Gordon might have done more with the idea that Will's masculinity is threatened when he finds himself called upon to protect his family, a la Sam Peckinpah's Straw Dogs. Instead, Will is depicted as a kind of super dad who'll stop at nothing to get Danny back after the unexpectedly sympathetic bank robber, Gethin Anthony, kidnaps the boy, and in so doing, solve the mystery of what happened to his father years before. Frankly, if forced to bet between John McClane and Anakin Skywalker, I'd take the die-hard tough guy every time. But that's just the underdog factor Miller is going for, staging a reasonably entertaining series of off-road chases and backwoods shootouts en route to that final confrontation. The movie's tough love message: if Danny can manage to get through the experience alive, it'll take a lot more than a bully to intimidate him next time. First Kill marks the third collaboration between director Stephen C. Miller and Bruce Willis, but their efforts are not likely to enter the pantheon of such previous cinematic teams as Alfred Hitchcock and Jimmy Stewart, or John Ford and John Wayne. Produced by the aptly named Grindstone Entertainment, the film, much like its Miller-Willis predecessors, Extraction and Marauders, is strictly grindhouse level, if grindhouses still existed. Their modern-day equivalent, VOD, will be the natural home for this mediocre thriller receiving a limited theatrical release. As with most of his recent vehicles, Willis here plays a supporting part. Hayden Christensen plays the central role of Will, a hotshot investment banker whose importance is signaled in an early scene when he exasperatedly asks his assistant, "Did the meeting with the Saudis get moved to today?" Not surprisingly, Will's home life has suffered due to his workaholic ways. When he discovers that his 11-year-old son Danny, Ty Shelton, has been bullied at school, he decides to take his family to the small town where he grew up, so that he can teach his boy how to hunt in an effort to give him confidence. Using the same rifle that his grandfather gave him, Will takes Danny on a deer hunting expedition. But father and son get more than they bargained for when they encounter a pair of criminals, and Will winds up having to shoot one of them in self-defense. It turns out that the duo was involved in a recent bank robbery, and the surviving one, Levi, Gethin Anthony, winds up kidnapping Danny to force Will to help him find the key to a bank vault that contains $2 million in loot. To complicate the situation even further, the local police chief, Willis, who's known Will since he was a boy, becomes suspicious of Will's actions after his boy is taken. The two men are soon involved in a twisty cat-and-mouse game, even while Danny bonds with his captor over their shared love of video games. Levy, it's soon revealed, isn't really a bad guy, just a desperate one, trying to get the money to pay for an operation to remove his mother-in-law's 80-pound tumor. Yes, the screenplay by Nick Gordon gets that baroque. More reminiscent of a broadcast network crime drama episode than a feature film, the generically titled First Kill features one decent chase scene involving a pickup truck and ATV barreling through the woods and a suspenseful gun standoff near its conclusion. Otherwise, it's all pretty tedious, with Miller failing to infuse the proceedings with the stylistic flair necessary to compensate for the cliché-ridden plotline, whose twists can be seen a mile away. Christensen, who's been unable to capitalize on the buzz over his acclaimed performance in Shattered Glass, at least goes through his paces with professionalism. The same can't be said of Willis, who turns in yet another phone-it-in performance that makes one yearn for the actor to hark back to the sort of superb character work he did in such films as In Country and Nobody's Fool. The best performance on display here comes from Anthony, a British actor who displays both a credible Southern accent and an entertaining relish for his intriguing character. It's the one genuine pleasure in this otherwise forgettable genre exercise. Production: Grindstone Entertainment Group, Emmett Furla, Oasis Films, Arboretum Productions, River Bay Films, The Fizz Facility Limited, Brook Street Pictures Distributor, Lionsgate Premiere Cast, Hayden Christensen, Bruce Willis, Gethin Anthony, Megan Leonard, Tyler John Olson, Shay Buckner. Director Stephen C. Miller. Screenwriter Nick Gordon. Producers Randall Emmett, George Furla, Mark Stewart. Executive producers Henry Winterstern, Ariane Fraser, Delphine Perrier, Mark Goldberg, Ted Fox, Wayne Mark Godfrey, Robert Jones, Trevor Matthews, Stephen Saxton, Vance Owen, Barry Brooker, Stan. If you've been wondering where Anakin Skywalker and John McClane have been, look no further than Granville, Ohio. Apparently McClane is now a sheriff in the small town east of Columbus and has recently run into successful stockbroker Skywalker and his wife and son as he returns to his roots for a family trip away from the big city. What I'm getting at is it's kind of hard not to think of the two characters Hayden Christensen and Bruce Willis are best known for while watching the mostly bland and predictable action thriller First Kill. The generic title is a good indication whether or not this movie is worth your time. The latest from B-movie director Stephen C. Miller, who has made a name for himself making vaudeville crap, populated by a repeat assembly of actors. Kill List isn't putrid like Miller's Arsenal from earlier this year, but it certainly doesn't hold up well overall. Unfortunately, Willis has popped up in two of Miller's previous awful action flicks, Extraction and Marauders. These movies may get a theatrical release, and if they do, it'll be one, maybe two, suburban theaters at the same time they're released on VOD. Each time Willis looks tired and bored, which is too bad. But let's face it, the last good roles he had was in Rian Johnson's Looper and in Wes Anderson's Moonrise Kingdom, both released in 2012. Since then, Willis hasn't been picky, but most of his movies have been hard to find for reasons just mentioned. On the flip side, Christensen's post-Star Wars movies have mostly been unmemorable. In fact, most people would be hard-pressed to list off his movies after Revenge of the Sith. Maybe he doesn't have alimony payments. I'm at a loss as to what these two actors saw in this screenplay from Nick Gordon. But it certainly wasn't much to work with. The fact that they said yes and committed to it is a reminder that sometimes acting is just like any other job. Sometimes you just show up and go through the motions. Miller shot First Kill in 13 days, which is impressive. But then again, it's not too surprising since there's not much to it. Distributed by Lionsgate. Premiere release date, July 21st, 2017. Running time 97 minutes. Country United States. Language English. Budget $10 million. Box office $347, $295. So guys, this is the review of First Kill movie and some information about it. How do you like our today's video? Please let us know by commenting. And if you like this video, please thanks for watching.